Has George Pickens left Mike Tomlin no choice but to bench him for going against his motto? That's been a discussion in the media recently, and we're going to get into that topic. So, we all heard about George Pickens and the lack of effort that he has shown on running plays this season. We've seen it many times on the broadcast as is brought up, and it's also been brought up this week in replay after seeing Jalen Warren running to try to get a touchdown down the left sideline. George Pickens not even try to block his defender at all. And also another time where Mitchell Trubisky overthrew George Pickens for interception, and George Pickens completely just ran away, did not even try tackling the defender who intercepted it, giving lack of effort throughout the season. So that's been the topic. Should Mike Tomlin bench George Pickens for this lack of effort for going against his motto? And many people are talking about it. So let's get into it. George Pickens, first of all, says the lack of effort on the Jalen Warren run was just him trying to prevent an injury. Here's his quote. "I was just trying to prevent the Tank Dell injury situation. I ain't want to get an ankle injury. When you stay up on those blocks, you can get ran up on. That's the reason I didn't block." So with him saying that, it basically kind of indicates that he was actually blocking and then he disengaged because he didn't want to get an injury, but he did not even engage in a block at all. So there's no even reason for him to get injured. He didn't even try blocking. He just completely stayed out the way. And on the interception, he just stayed out the way in general once again. So Mark Aboli, he says this. He's a Pittsburgh Steelers insider, and he says that he's basically just spitting in the face of Mike Tomlin based off the lack of effort. Here is his quote on the situation. "Pickens has left Tomlin no choice. In my opinion, you ask players to play hurt, sick, have surgeries to come back sooner, and such, and one guy says no and spits in your face. I'm not going about it to get hurt for the betterment of the team. It spits in the face of the head coach and his message he's lived by for his career." So that's his quote. What he's basically saying is that's been Mike Tomlin's motto. Give it your all for your players. Give it your all for your team, no matter what. And George Pickens just does not do that. So I understand what Mark Aboli is saying in terms of for the betterment of the team and giving it your all. But to play through injuries to come back sooner, that's the one thing I really don't understand or I don't agree with, because that could injure you long term in terms of your playing. But other than that, sure, give it your all no matter what. And then he continues on saying this in his next quote. "Imagine TJ Watt, Cameron Heyward, Macus Patrick. They've been fighting to get on the field the past 2 years. 73 and 99 are not practicing all week just so they can play every single game. 18 and 88, which is obviously Deontay Johnson and Pat Freiermuth, they're rushing back from hamstring pulls. 22, Najee Harris playing with a broken foot last season basically. 50, getting knocked out the game twice and coming back. And number 8, having surgery on a sprain." So obviously what he's saying here is all these guys are fighting to come back sooner from injuries, and they're having surgeries, they're having these operations or whatever it's doing, trying to have a willingness to play in every single game and come back from injury to do so. And George Pickens is basically saying, I don't want to block because I don't want to get injured. So that's what Mark Aboli is saying. And is it time to bench him because he's going against Mike Tomlin's motto and giving it your all every single week, every single play? Also, it's not just Mark Aboli who is also saying this. It's actually an insider as well, Peter King, and multiple other guys. But now I'll read a quote from Peter King talking about why basically Mike Tomlin should look into benching George Pickens. Here's his quote. "What George Pickens is doing right now is absolutely totally unacceptable. You, the team, have to figure out, is George Pickens savable? He's got such great talent that I think everybody wants to say, well, you can't do anything with George Pickens because he's just so good. If he went somewhere else, he turned into the second coming of Randy Moss. I don't really care about how great he can be or should be. I care about how great he is right now, and he isn't, because there are plays where he's doing absolutely dogs it. So he's basically saying that George Pickens can learn something from a lot of people that just really bothers me about the Steelers right now. How do you draft a guy that high who so many teams had questions about off the field, and now you're seeing why they had those questions? I know it's not over, it can be salvaged. That's also what he said. So we all seen the problems. George Pickens dropped in the draft because of his injury, because of his off the field problems, on the field problems, him getting mad, his temper, whatever that. So that's what Peter King is saying. How did you draft this guy knowing all these problems, and yet these problems are still being brought up into the light? If you're going to draft a guy that high, you should be able to calm those tempers down. And the Steelers just have not been able to do that, and we're seeing it right now. Also, George Pickens, his teammates are even talking about it. Allen Robinson talked about his blocking, how it's unacceptable, and how he talks to George Pickens about it and how it needs to change. And also, Jaylen Warren actually spoke about that run play where George Pickens did not block and did not give effort on his run in terms of when he got tackled short of the end zone. Here's what Jaylen Warren had to say about it because the play involved him. Here's the quote. If I was in that position, I would have blocked for him. That's basically what he said. He would have blocked for him. And we all know Jaylen Warren would have, because he always puts his body on the line, blocking for his quarterback, whether that be standing in the pocket, waiting for a blocker, double teaming a guy, or whatever. That's why they put him in, to block. We all know Jaylen Warren puts his body on the line, and he would have blocked, and that's his thoughts on the situation. Well, George Pickens, he actually blasted the media and talked about how the media people are questioning his effort but don't know what's really going on, and they have never played the game, so they should just leave him alone. Here's that quote from George Pickens. All the people that's questioning my effort, they don't play football. They do what y'all in the media do. All the people that got opinions, they're media surface guys. None of them play football. So, he's basically saying is you haven't played football in the NFL, so you can't talk about him. Don't talk about his effort. Don't talk about his play on the field. Don't talk about him at all because we haven't played in the NFL, so we just can't speak on him and his effort because we are never going to be in his situation and we don't know what it actually is that's going on the football field every single play to play the game. So when we talk about effort, how are we going to talk about effort when we have never played in a game to give that effort? That's basically what George Pickens is saying about the media, and they should just stop talking about him in general in terms of his effort on the play and questioning him. So, George Pickens, his lack of effort, it's raised the question, should the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, Mike Tomlin, look into benching him? And me personally, if they want to win football games, you don't bench him because he is the best playmaker on the field when he's actually throwing the ball. So if you want to win football games, you don't. But if you want to send a message to the team that effort is going to be relied upon and it's expected, and if you don't give the effort, you're not going to play, then maybe you bench him. Maybe you do. Maybe you send a message to the team. But I believe if they send that message to George Pickens, it might only be downhill from here, and he may not receive that message or that benching very well, and it might look like another tradable wide receiver on the market, just like Chase Claypool, just like Antonio Brown, and wide receivers who've got shipped out because of that problem. So we look at George Pickens. If the Steelers want to send a message, they will bench him. If they don't, and they want to win football games and hopefully still make the playoffs, they'll keep him play. I still think that he's going to be playing, and I think it's too late in the season to do this kind of move. And also, there's a way to how to bench someone without actually fully benching him in the point where the media talks about it. You just play him less during the game. You still keep him active for the game, but you don't play him as much throughout the game. You play other guys, Calvin Austin, Allen Robinson, even though Allen Robinson, I don't think he's really a good wide receiver anymore. You play Deontay Johnson more. You play other wide receivers more just to keep George Pickens on the sideline for longer. That's a way how to bench someone without benching them into the point where the media talks about you actually benching the player. So, with that being said, let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on this whole situation. Do you believe George Pickens should be benched? Do you believe Mike Tomlin should take that step because he's going against his motto, going against him? there's also been a report, and if you go watch my video from yesterday, I talked about how Rich Eisen said that TJ Watt told him that players are not practicing hard in practice, and some don't even want to practice at all. And then we saw a clip of Deontay Johnson going full speed in practice, doing a drill. We saw a clip of Colin Austin going full speed in practice, Allen Robinson going full speed, and then we saw George Pickens, he did not go full speed, and that happened just 2 days ago. So we've seen that clip. Go find it. I can't post it on here, but there's a clip of that, and that's what happened. So TJ Watt says players don't want to practice hard, and then we've seen that clip of George Pickens not practicing hard. So should a message be sent to him? Should he be benched? Should he not be? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like Steelers content, analysis, and reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for this channel as well. Click the bell down below so you never miss out on Steelers news. Turn on notifications, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.